Good morning. This is the Blaisdell webcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You get more information and find out about past shows and future shows on my website, which is behind me, blainsworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And each week, what we do is we focus on news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce you folks to kind of a new friend of mine, but he is Quinn Kinsella, and Quinn runs his own outfits. It's Quintessential, what's the name of the firm?
Quintessential Greenscapes.
Quintessential Quintessential Greenscape. And Quinn, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. So a big greeting. And by the way, we should introduce one other person you have, somebody you have with you in the background. Who is that?
We got my dog Prince. He's going to be a little hard for me to get right now, but he's my loyal companion who's always with me.
That's cool. So uh, Prince helps out in the business as well. And so what we do each week, Quinn, is just talk about different things that are happening in the area and different businesses. And yours is one I'm familiar with because I also share with folks that you are also my main gardener, landscaper, you name it, the Quinn's man. And so the question I always ask Quinn is, as a kid, you grew up where?
I grew up in South Dakota.
Okay, when you're growing up in South Dakota, did you always know you wanted to be into landscaping and gardening?
I actually did not. It was probably one of the last thoughts I probably ever thought that I'd be doing.
So as a kid, what do you want to do?
So growing up, actually, I honestly probably would have seen myself doing in some way some kind of sales or a lawyer of some kind. I love to talk to people and stuff like that. But I guess as I got older, I just learned that I love to work with my hands more.
And so as a kid, like around home, did you do the gardening or cutting the lawn?
Oh yeah, yeah. My mom, so I had a single mom growing up. So she put us to work all the time. She always had her own gardens and stuff like that, especially growing up in South Dakota. It was a farm town. I lived on the eastern side of the state, so mostly agriculture, corn state, stuff like that. So really, we grew up shucking corn, doing the beans and stuff like that. So it was always some kind of work to be done outside.
So what got you from there then as a kid? When did you come to Asheville? And what got you at Asheville?
So actually, my mom moved here in about 2011. So my mom moved here. She has always done work that I say it takes a lot of a person to give because she was a domestic violence advocate previously, and now she runs the day center A Hope in Asheville. So she actually came here looking to better her life for us and go to school at Mars Hill and get a social work degree. And doing that, she's been with Homeward Bound since we've lived here basically and has grown through there and is now the director at the day center. So,
By the way, off the air, share with me her contact information. I'd love to get her on our show, talk about some of the
yeah,
stuff she does. Okay,
absolutely.
be real cool. So if she's listening, we can say, "Hey, mom,
Hey, mom.
we owe it all to you." So
Yes.
that's a big shift though, from coming to South Dakota to North Carolina. Was there an impetus for it? Did you know people in this area?
No. So really, it was just to get us out of South Dakota. I mean, it's a great state. A lot of people love living there. But for us, we just knew that North Carolina was calling. So my mom kind of just decided to pack us up one year and decided to give it a try out here. We have actually no family in North Carolina. We've done it ourselves, me, my brother, and my mom. She's been our rock through the whole thing. She's always been a hard worker, which is probably 100% where I get my hard work from because I know it has to be done. So yeah, she just decided one day to get us out here to the mountains, and we've never looked back.
That's kind of cool because we had the same thing too. When we came out here, I think we knew like one person. But one of the great things about this area is that it's pretty easy to meet people or find stuff to come in contact with. Now, do you live in Marcel or you live in Asheville?
So we did live in the Weaverville area up until about I want to say 2016, which is when I moved over to the Fletcher area. So I've lived basically over in that realm since then. I live in Asheville, but it's basically a rock throw from Reynolds. So I graduated from there, and that's where I've resided.
And so what then you got you into starting your own business or being involved in your own business? Because I met you, I think initially you worked with somebody else. And what gave you the
Yep.
interest to start your own business?
So actually, before I got into the landscaping as my full-time job, I was doing a lot of home renovations and subcontracting for somebody, and that really kind of got me into loving working on people's homes and stuff like that. And as I kind of grew in the trade and stuff like that, I came in contact with the previous owner of the landscape outfit that I worked for, and he was awesome to work for. He showed me a lot, gave me a lot of help in this landscaping world. And he decided actually to leave it. He just wasn't for him. So he offered for me to kind of take over what we had running. And if the clients, of course, would take me and everything like that. So I put some money towards that and bought my own equipment and bought the contracts out from him. And now I've just kind of been running it for myself. I kind of fell in love with it when I started doing it. So
By the way, we can give him a shout out if you would. If I
yeah,
mentioned who he bought it from.
yeah. So I bought it from Kyle. The contracts from Kyle Wilkin. He previously owned Prestige Property Improvements, which was a landscaping outfit. And he honestly gave me a great start and everything. Still close to him. I still talk to him relatively, probably on a monthly basis at some point, sometime in there. But yeah, he was great for me. He really taught me a lot, especially first coming in. Um, he he really kind of did give me my start in the landscaping as the manager and stuff like that, coming in as a lead foreman. So when he decided to sell, he kind of just knew that since I'd already been doing it for him for about a year, 2 years, he was like, "Hey, I think it's time that I'm going to step away since you've been doing it. Let's have you just do it." Because I think he did have some things where he wanted, I think he's going for the volunteer firefighting and stuff like that. So I think he just had other things that he would have, he enjoyed his time more doing. So he decided to let me do it as I was already spending all my time doing it.
If I can give both him and you a big compliment, is that it was a very smooth transition. Because again,
Thank you.
we had worked with Kyle for several years and we were very pleased with the service he provided. And all of a sudden, I really remember how it was done, that he kind of, which is great, made an introduction that he was going to be leading the business, but he introduced you to you, and I was very impressed. You came on board and just say, we kept our business, so it couldn't have been smoother, the way it was done, which is nice, but it's not always smooth, so that was a great switch over. So you started, it was just 8 months ago, and which was, I guess, nice. You inherited, I guess, most of his clients. Was that what happened?
Yep. So basically, I bought the contracts and some equipment off of him, and did not purchase the company name, and started my own. So now that's how he gave the introduction for me to be able to kind of start my own outfit, under my own name and everything. So that's kind of why it's new, but also I did get all of the clients from him as we are a contract-based service. So a lot of times that's appealing because you don't have to go out and look for another landscaper. A lot of times people have
Right.
a landscaper for a year and then they're not there the next year. A lot of times, a lot of the people like we maintain their homes for many, many years. Most of the contracts we have, I've had since I started working with the business. So that was just really easy because, like you, taking me back on, it was, I believe, because I was already out there doing the work, doing a lot of conversations with you guys. So it really was a smooth transition because it was everything I was already doing. So.
And I love also the name. How'd you come up with the name?
So the name was actually took a lot more work. I just wanted something where people would kind of hear my name and then think about it, or hear the name and think about it. I wanted it to catch on really quickly. It's a little bit longer, but a lot of people have really liked the quintessential greenscapes.
I love
They
it.
said it's
Yeah,
easy to remember. So.
it's a great name. Now, also, so you came and started your own business. Did you have a business background at that point in time?
No. So the only thing that I had done previously in the past, was I was a subcontractor for somebody else who was gracious enough to really introduce me into the construction world. There we built homes, we did renovations, and actually it's where I met Dwayne at with the small business center, AB Tech, who has also helped me a lot when I first started the business. Dwayne was someone that I went to and actually had a relationship with previously. So that was a great connection to have and kind of build on because he gave me a lot of recommendations that really helped me with building connections with people and kind of branding and stuff like that. So,
We should give a shout out since you mentioned him. Quinn's mentioned the name of Dwayne Adams, who runs the small business center at AB Tech and just does a great job there. So that's pretty cool. So you went there for, I don't know, did you get take any courses there or just work with him on a one-on-one basis?
nope. Yep. So I didn't take any courses. That's actually something I'm looking to do, is to be able to further my education probably, just because it's evolving always, the general landscaping world and everything. So it's always good to be growing with that knowledge. But really, when I first started, he did a lot kind of helping me with getting cards kind of moving and stuff like that, trying to build the name, and just kind of also get my systems flowing. Because at first, I took over a business that had been running. So there was a lot of systems in place and stuff. And from going from the day manager, it was a lot for me to be able to manage it and do the infield. So he did a lot to recommending like websites and stuff that I can use, like QuickBooks and stuff like that. And also getting a CPA set up just so that I can, and bookkeepers and stuff like that. So I can always keep on top of that kind of stuff.
By the way, you mentioned the seminars, and AB Tech runs all these various seminars, and you'll get an invitation. Or hopefully, I'll see you. I think in April, I'm doing a marketing seminar, so hopefully, I'll have you come to that one
Awesome.
as
Yeah.
well. But so I got it. So AB Tech gave me some help. But how about the knowledge about like landscaping and gardening? How would you pick that knowledge up?
So basically, I started doing this in 2022, full time as my job. So that's kind of when I came on and really did a deep dive to really learn everything. Coming up from up north, the soils, everything was a lot different. So that did take some adjusting to getting used to, learning about the clay soil type and stuff like that up here. Getting it to not be so firm and whatnot, trying to get it to break up and aeration, stuff like that. So it really was, I guess, a combination of my childhood and also previous work, doing the general contracting and stuff like that. We really were always working with our hands, whether it was digging something or working on someone's home. So when it really came to being outside, I think a lot of it is educating yourself and knowing what you're doing, getting certified in them, and then also really just being able to do the work. It's harder work, so.
It's funny you said too about the soil. So you and I have discussed the problem we have in our property. It's almost just the opposite. That what I forget the name of it. What do we have? What are they called? The things that get in our yard and make the yard very soft.
The voles.
Yeah, is that a problem with yards in North Carolina?
Oh yeah, so Western North Carolina is very popular for voles. And the thing that's hard about those to treat is a lot of people have pets. And anyone that has a pet, they're gonna go after the same thing of vole would. If it's in the ground, they're gonna find it. So a lot of times treating them is really hard. But really what they do is they just come through and burrow through your ground and create those little lumps in your yard that everybody hates. And they keep coming through. And a lot of times the other problem is when your neighbor pushes them out, they'll just move to the next yard. So it's kind of just an ever so cycling Western North Carolina with the Bulls.
And you mentioned to us, I was asking you the problem we have, and it's not so noticeable lately, but yeah, it's the same thing too, that you get rid of them, but they're just going to go back and they keep going back and forth. Is that what happens?
Yep. So literally, they'll move to your neighbor's yard. Your neighbor will push them out. They'll come from there, and then there's so many houses in every direction, so they're moving one way from every different direction. So it's really just about the area. So if that was their home, they're gonna stay there, and it's really hard to remove them and stuff like that. So.
And one of the problems I hadn't thought about was kind of what you just mentioned. So you want to be careful, I guess, with using poisons or killing them off. Because again, if you have a pup or something like that or other animals,
Absolutely.
they're going to get to that as well.
Yep. So a lot of times that can be a risk with using that kind of stuff. There is certain ones you can use, but there's never bulls. There's not 100% fix all for them. A lot of time, and that's the problem with it. you'll probably get a 50% chance of it fixing it. And then also, like we talked about, the risk of animals and kids and stuff like that, because it is a granular treatment a lot of times and stuff like that that isn't dissolving. It's more like for them to eat or stay away from and stuff like that. So it's in the ground and there for animals to get.
Now, the name is escaping me, but there's another animal also that gets in the ground. It's not a ball, it's another little small thing that creates problems.
Moles,
Moles,
we
that's it.
also have, yep, moles. And moles can also be another thing that we do get. Voles is a bigger problem in North Carolina, I guess, but moles, and then also the star-nosed mole, that's a protected mole. So even if you do get one of those, you can't do anything with it, but moles are another issue.
Talk if you would, Quinn, um, about a home. And for example, you can use our house as an example. And I think the lawn's looking pretty nice, large part to your efforts. But what should homeowners do, either working through you or on their own, to maintain their lawns, for example? What should they be doing?
So So the biggest thing about Asheville is it's a lot of times it's clay based. A lot of times when they build homes, it doesn't have a lot of drainage. It's super packed, not a lot of space for grass to grow, not room um, for the roots to really get anywhere. So a lot of times it washes away or doesn't really come in and dies off. So a lot of ways to get on top of that is to have a good soil test, to do a soil test and kind of figure out where your soil's at. That's kind of the best start to always get.
Now, by the way,
But
is that something you do?
we do offer, yep, soil
Okay.
testing. So when you do the soil testing, it does take a little bit more time to get those results as it goes to another party for them to send you those results back. But that is something we offer. And when that comes back, we have a 6 phase lawn treatment program that we offer. So that starts with the phase one, which is a granular pre-emerge with the fertilizer. Phase two is the
Okay, so
pre-emergent with,
let me just jump in on each
sorry,
one. So one of the things, and I like how you shared it with me, you are the six step plan. Um, and so you recommend it, I guess, for all the people you're doing that their lawns for. And so you mentioned the first step. How long does that each step take?
So each step can vary. It really varies on air. Like aeration is a fall uh, step that you want to do so that when you do it in the fall, it gives that seed time to grow and give it roots. So that and it's also a cool season fescue, which is what we recommend around here. So it grows really good in the fall and stuff like that, and then comes in really good in the spring and gives you really full growth. Instead of trying to aerate in the spring and not giving it a lot of time to really grow in or anything like that. But due to Helene, a lot of the yards ended up having to have aeration early in the year, which we are going to always try to avoid the best we can. But some homeowners wanted it and requested it and whatnot, so we did that. But the other things is really just maintaining the fertilizers and the pre-emergence and post-emergence in your yard through the year,
And,
just to keep the green pop.
and if we go through those steps then, so I got the first step. What was the second step again?
So then the second step is the granular pre-emergent with liquid post-emergent spray. So it's the same step as phase one. We just do it about 3 weeks later to help pop after basically in mid-April to stop any of the water. We're getting a lot of rain and stuff, so a lot of new weeds are starting to pop up in your yard. So it does that second round to kind of get rid of it. And then anything that kind of got through, we go through and we spot treat to make sure that that goes away. And then we go into the phase three, which is the post-emergent, which is where we go through and it tries to take out anything that's a granular that takes out anything that did exist and through it. And then we go into the phase four, which is the fertilizer. That is the low nitrogen because during the summer, if you go high nitrogen, it'll really burn your grass and kind of kill it. So that's why you have to do the lower one once you get to that hotter season so that it doesn't kill your grass off. And then we go to the phase five, which is the starter fertilizer again for the grass seed that's going to be coming down in September, which is phase five is about a month before, which is August the 1st, right around, which we do lime with it as well to get your soil pH because a lot of times we have pretty acidic soils around here and stuff like that. So the lime helps to base it out and stuff like that. And then we do the phase six, which is the aeration and overseeding, which is really the biggest pop we see in a lot of yards because we're breaking up that really condensed soil and giving those grass seeds somewhere to go and grow. So then they fill in instead of just being on the surface. It goes into the soil and kind of breaks down and makes it not so compact.
Now, how long do these 6 steps take?
So basically, we start the phase one starts in about February, mid-February. The second one is about April. The third one we do right in the cusp of June, probably about 10th, I'd say, right around there. And then the granular fertilizer, that one is going to be right before July a lot of times when the heat's really starting to hit. So it's really just depends on when you get on it. A lot of our customers though they're on that schedule. But the soil test is kind of what slows things down. So a lot of times it can take a week or two for the soil test to come in. So then you are kind of coming in a phase behind it, if that makes sense.
Now, where does watering come into play?
So that is actually on the homeowner or something we can offer to help you set up a sprinkler system. The watering in is recommended for your lawn. So basically, you always want to water in the morning. You don't want to be watering through the evening too much as it'll cause, or if you do water, you want it to be very light and spread out so that it's not causing any disease in your yard. Because if you're doing it during the day and during the nighttime, that water it can get the molds and stuff, which we're known for in Western North Carolina and stuff like that, and can cause your yard to get sick and not grow.
Now, I like what you said too, and again, that's one of the things I think I appreciate that you offer to us is not only your services, but you have other ideas as to what we should be doing. So you mentioned, for example, you can help people set up a watering system. What do you typically recommend?
Yeah, so basically it's just a sprinkler you put on a timer, and basically you keep it on, and then in the morning you basically always check it too, make sure it's not leaking and stuff like that. But then the timer it just turns on in the early spring in the morning so that it waters your yard nice and evenly and sporadically. You don't want to do it every day. You probably want to do it every 2 to 3 days, and make sure that it covers it but doesn't saturate your ground too much. And then once it shuts off probably right before I'd say 7:30 when the sun's coming up. So then it evenly distributes it through the yard and doesn't. And also the water when it's on it during the day, it's like us being the sun. It magnifies it, so it can also kill the grass that way. So that's another reason not to water during the day and to do it in the morning so that it's evaporating like the morning dew. That's kind of how to think of it. The morning dew comes in, and that is a natural waterer and then evaporates before the heavy heat so it doesn't burn the ground.
And you mentioned that you can set it up on a timer. Can the timer
Yep.
also be set up, as you said, that doesn't do it every day? Can that be
Yep.
part of it?
Yep. So you can there is some timers that you can do that. Most of them you'll just have to turn on and off the night before. So
Well,
just
that's one of the services you offer, Quinn, and I appreciate the fact that you do, is I'll ask you about two of them specifically. Where does mulch come into play?
yeah, so mulch is also a large thing that we do, especially in North Carolina. In the mountain areas, we have a lot of hills and stuff. So mulch, you lay about 2.5 to 3 inches of mulch, and it's a natural weed barrier. So that mulch lasts about 10 to 16 months typically, especially with the double ground hardwood, which we do. It's a brown or a black, and that just kind of helps keep a lot of pesky weeds from coming up, keeping it so that you can have your garden area looking with the plants popping and stuff like that with the colors instead of all the little green shooters coming through. That mulch keeps it down, and we offer that with our contracts and everything. So that also helps a lot of people because mulch can be very expensive up front. So with our contracts, we split them up 12 months. So on a typical mulch job, I'd say you're probably doing about $1,000 for a mulch job, and that gets split up in between the 12 months. And that's something that helps a lot of homeowners price wise.
Okay, and when you explained that to me the other day, I really appreciated it because this is a great concept. Instead of getting hit with a bill all at once, I pay it over 12 months, which is, I think, makes it easier for you. So you mentioned the mulch does a lot to deal with the weeds. How else do you deal with the weeds, um, other than with putting a lot of mulch down?
So that really just depends on the client here in North Carolina. A lot of clients are naturalists. They don't like us to use any herbicides or sprays or anything like that on the yard, which is fine. So we do it the old-fashioned way where we pull it or we use one of our little weed pullers to pull it out of the ground. If not, if they're okay with it, we use a herbicide. which is just a spot treatment. Basically, we go around any cracks and anything like that and take care of them.
And also one other thing too, I'd like you to address is in terms of using you folks, do you deal with the flowers and gardens as well?
We do, yep. So that is something else that we offer. That is something I am also. I use other contract subcontract people. I can plant them and all that stuff, but a lot of people have a lot more plant knowledge than me. So a lot of times I like to use those people that are master gardeners and stuff like that while I'm still furthering my education. So a lot of times we'll bring in a master gardener to kind of come in and help me and you be able to give you the kind of setup that you want in your garden.
But that's again a service, and I like the way you do it. So I'm still working with you though. You're, I guess, the foreman, or you're the overall guy to be responsible for
Yep,
it. So as you were
yep,
saying, I don't necessarily want to deal with, and I've told you there's 17 different people. I'd rather just deal
yes,
with you. So that makes my job a lot easier as well. Um,
yep.
Quinn, in terms of some other services, so somebody looking to work with you, we should mention, by the way, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best bet?
So you can reach us on Facebook or Instagram at Quintessential Greenscapes LLC. You can also reach us at our phone number at 828-775-3429.
I'm going to say,
And those are all,
I'll have you give that again. What's the phone number again?
it's 828-775-3429.
Okay, so
And
folks,
those are,
yeah,
yep,
sorry. No, so folks aren't on Facebook or Instagram. That's the best way to reach you.
yep, yep.
And
And we also have an email at quintessentialgreenscapes@gmail.com. Um,
so we'll talk about some things that people could use you for, and I'll just give it an unsolicited recommendation. But I'm very impressed with you and your firm too. So thank you for doing a great job on our yard. Um,
Yeah, thank you. We love servicing it. It's one of our ones that our guys love to talk about that. That green patch always pops in the front. So we like to pull up the road and still see the striping.
Yet we have a problem, and it's not your problem, but our yard is kind of funny because especially in the front of the yard, we have a lot of trees, so we don't get a lot of sun. Um,
Yep.
and it's tough, with in the back, you see a lot of sun. One looks great, but how do you deal with that? I guess just have to keep watering it or keep dealing with it if they don't have a lot of sun.
So, yep. So that's where the fertilizer and everything like that comes into play. And sun is probably the biggest impactor in Western North Carolina, because you do need sun to grow grass. So that is another thing that can be spotty and hard to grow grass in. But we also work with a company, Schofield Tree Patrol. They do awesome work, and they've done a lot of jobs coming in and not always taking the tree down, but also trimming them back. In the past, they've done that, but then also with Helene, they've done a great job coming in and helping us take on any trees that we can't get to, as we do offer some small tree removals and stuff like that. They're awesome at getting those big trees out that we can't get to.
And
So
again, you've helped us with that as well because of Helene. We had some stuff, and you were great. You came out and helped us with that. But I also see another service you could be offering. You could bring in sun lamps, so that people don't have. I'm kidding.
that is true.
But I guess it could be done. Um, it warrant. So in terms of working with you for your services, are there any services you offer to people for their lawns or gardens that you want to mention?
Yeah. So we really offer anything full landscaping. We can do pruning. Maintain a lot of commercial properties, doctor parks, stuff like that. Some out off Airport Road for a lot of commercial products, things like that. So at those properties and home properties, we do a lot of pruning. We do a lot of off-season maintenance, meaning we come and we blow off any driveways, keep the beds maintained and walkways cleared. We can go in there. We do cleanups a lot of times. We like to keep the guys busy. That's another thing with the 12-month contract, is it does a good job of being able for me to plan for my guys. We got one great guy with me, Dawson Fender. He's a great worker, so I love being able to keep him on. And that's another way that the contracts kind of help that, because it helps us stay busy through the year and also kind of see what money's coming in. Whereas a lot of times, the 8 months, you're only getting the lawn maintenance, which is probably our biggest thing. We do a lot of mowing, and that's a great thing. But to split it up between the 12 months makes it cheaper on the clients, and then also for us to see overhead for 12 months, instead of 8 months out of the year.
Where do you see the business going in the future?
So I would like to take this a little bit farther with some hardscaping. With my background in it, construction, I'd like to be able to build some patios for people as I do have the experience doing it. But right now we do so well with the yard maintenance and stuff like that, that I'm training up guys and trying to build the business to be able to add that on, to have people in play to be able to do that kind of stuff. But it's something that we do about a day a week or so. So that's something that we're trying to add on to. So.
As you mentioned, so you guys can not only do my lawn maintenance, but you mentioned if you're a business or a company in the area, you do work for them as well.
Oh yeah, we have a many commercial properties that we maintain, especially HOAs and stuff like that. So that's in areas where a lot of homeowners don't maintain, but the HOA owns. So we go in there and we bid on those, and when we go in there and we mow the areas, we do the lawn treatments, we do mulching, we do the off-season blowing, maintaining stuff like that. Uh, the pruning. We kind of really do whatever the HOA is looking for. So
You name it, Quinn will do it. Anyway, Quinn, I'd like to thank you for being my guest this edition of Blaine's World webcast. I always look forward to seeing you when you come on into our property and that big smile of yours. I love your enthusiasm. I'd also like to thank my producer, Cappy Tassetti. And lest I forget, I'd also like to thank Prince. Is that Prince's his name?
yes, Prince, yes.
Prince, and I'm glad he really did a good job because he made sure that we weren't interrupted. So he was I see him in the
Yes,
back. Anyway,
he's a good guard dog.
very good dog. And one last time, since if they're on Facebook, Instagram, your phone number, one last time.
Yeah, so it's 828-775-3429. Again, it's 828-775-3429.
And I'd like to thank you for being my guest again, Quinn. Hopefully we'll see you in the not too distant future. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, Blaine.